win in a row since 2021. We went back to Tennessee to get revenge after the Tennessee Titans owner fired Mike Vrabel and hired a coach who never called plays for the Cincinnati Bengals and then got let go. And now all of the Tennessee former players and coaches got the revenge at Tennessee. And it's going to be a fiesta as we shift our focus from Tennessee to Cleveland next week. But what's up, everybody? And welcome to the Patriots Clubhouse. And we're still continuing the Patriots MayeFlower Voyage series, episode 14, as we ship away from, Tennessee to Cleveland. But as always, I am the captain of the ship now, aka DTN. And I got my three gentlemen here. I got Mr. Schulten, Mr. Lesage, and Mr. Noble. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
We're doing good, Dow. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just ended off on a high note, especially when my college had their homecoming weekend. So basically, getting that win was a nice way to finish off that weekend. But how about you guys?
Yeah, I think, finishing off that weekend with a win is amazing. I'm feeling really good about it. We started off slow. Apparently we've let up a touchdown on 5 of 7 opening drives this year, including against both Tennessee and North Carolina. But pretty much after Tennessee's inexplicably stupid decision making at the end of the half, where we were able to get really rolling in the second quarter. Drake May has now eclipsed Tom Brady's record from 2009 for highest completion percentage by a Patriots quarterback with, I believe it was 91.3. He went 21 of 23 for 222 yards and 2 touchdowns. I liked how he spread the ball around. I liked how he got the running game going. And, I really liked seeing our defense step up in the second half. Got a couple of turnovers, including that fumble 6. It feels really good to get that win against Vrabel's former team, 31-13.
How about you, Austin?
Yeah, I spent the weekend just kind of relaxing. It was a busy work week, and then went to Shaw Farm Sunday and got some banana milk. As crazy as it sounds, it's actually really good. So kind of pre-game with that, got some apples and whatnot to make some apple crisp before the game Sunday. And then obviously we got to see pretty much a shellacking of the Patriots taking it to Tennessee, which is always great, especially in, a return game for Vrabel, which, they kind of toned it down saying, it's interesting, not important. And you could tell it kind of echoed throughout the locker room, but I think everyone on the outside was kind of like, it's some bullshit. Like, I think Vrabel deep down, it's like he really, really wanted to win this one. And it's so much sweeter too, where it's like the guy you hired to replace him is now removed from the team, and he has more wins in just 7 games played than that head coach had in a full season and let's say a half, a quarter, something like that. So it's just bittersweet for Vrabel, and I'm glad the players banded together and, won this game essentially for him.
Nice. How about you, Thomas?
Yeah, I had a blast on Sunday. Look, having a blast watching the Patriots win on Sunday and having Taco Sunday, as a matter of fact. Well, yeah, it's bittersweet eating some tacos with the Patriots winning. But, dude, when I saw Chase on recover that fumble with Cam Ward's unexplanatory fumble, I was laughing my ass off. Like, I never see anything like that in my life as a Patriots fan, literally. But yeah, great win for us. Great revenge. But now I know I'm gonna feel skeptical because we're going against a defense that is going to be scary out of the Browns. Don't take them lightly, because I know that for sure.
Yeah, especially on the defense.
Yeah, don't let that win-loss record fool you, because we play against the Saints. We almost lost that game because we get a 1-win team. Now we're facing a 2-win team out of the Browns. Don't take them lightly. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, for sure. But as always, guys, if you haven't already, please make sure that you smash the like button, hit subscribe. It's completely free, and it helps us support the channel. It helps us grow significantly as a community, and it would be appreciated if you turn on the bell notification so you get notified for upcoming live streams like this. And you can also be notified for tomorrow's live stream where we celebrate as a channel 100 subs. You do not want to miss it out. Q&As, call-ins, and a giveaway to get a chance to get a card from Austin's collection. You don't want to miss that out. And as always, if you haven't already, please make sure that you post your questions and comments relating to Patriots and football only. So you can put in a Q as a question, C or S as a statement/comment. And yes, it includes draft and college. Like college football, if we want to talk about like prospects, even though it's kind of too early for that, those are only for teams who are currently tanking. And then draft when it comes to like the draft status, but I don't think will matter at this point. But without further ado, let's get started with this show. And the first question I want to ask you, Andy, how was the win? Especially when it's Mike Vrabel's revenge, and especially for all the Tennessee Titans coaches/players' revenge.
That was a really sweet win, man. As I pretty much, already said in our preamble, Vrabel was downplaying it that entire week when he said, this wasn't a revenge game. I mean, he went down there and I loved seeing that Titans fan like holding up the sign that said, Vrabel, please come back. And we just went in there and like I said, 5 out of 7 games, we've let up a score on the opponent's opening drive. But after, pretty much like a quarter and a half, our offense got going. Drake got going as he normally does, and Tennessee made a couple of inexplicably stupid mistakes at the end of the half. I think like burning timeouts and not going for a field goal. I mean, when you've got Joey Sly, we know that guy's got a huge leg. In the second half, I mean, it was just all Pats. Like we talked about the chase on fumble 6. I think it was Marcus Jones got the pick, so we got a couple of turnovers off of Cam Ward. Like I said, May broke Brady's 16-year-old completion percentage record. There I go. We're going 21 of 23, like a 91.3 completion percentage for 222 yards, a couple touchdowns. I liked how he got the running game going with Mondre Stevenson. And yeah, it was just, and the defense played well in the end. It was just an all-around good game, good win, 31-13.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to get a win, especially when this is Mike Vrabel's home turf. This is where he first started becoming a head coach, and it's nice to see getting a win off of his former team, especially when the owner for the Tennessee Titans, the daughter of the late Turnstile Bud Adams, who was a shit show from there when he was the owner for what used to be the Houston Oilers, which was an AFL team, and then the Tennessee Oilers and the Tennessee Titans, which was a complete disaster, has a horrific story, but it's nice to get a win off of that. But Austin, when we talk about this, now that we got a win off of Tennessee, we have exceeded our win total from the last 2 seasons, going from 4-13 to now having like 5 wins this season. So how does it feel that we have exceeded our win total from the past 2 seasons?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this one definitely feels different because obviously we're going off 2 back-to-back years of 4-13 and, feeling as low as we probably possibly can as Patriots fans, having experienced the greatest dynasty of all time in the NFL. So, I mean, a 31-13 road win in Nashville, 4th straight W, 3rd straight win on the road, first time in franchise history. We're 5-2. Things just are all molding properly, and the offense was efficient and explosive. The defense was shaky to start, but they got turnovers, scored off of those turnovers. And it just it's almost like Vrabel's team is playing like it's a bunch of veterans, even though we have a lot of rookies and a lot of younger guys mixed in there. I mean, for Christ's sake, it's Drake May's second year, and he looks like an all-pro fighting for the MVP. Like, it's insane. It's just, I don't think anybody – I think we were all optimistic about what was going to happen this season, but I don't think anybody expected us to be, up and running and second in the AFC conference as a whole, let alone the AFC East, which we are first. It's just, you have to be happy as a Patriots fan, and people can say what they want about the opponents we've played so far, right? But, I mean, you can only play who's on the schedule. So I think we've done very well and taken advantage of every opportunity so far.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely important, especially when we all thought that this is going to be another rebuild year, and generally a successful season is having, especially in a rebuild year, is like getting at least like 8 to 9 wins, and we're currently heading that trend, because the last thing I want to see from Pats fans is having to deal with another season where we're going 4-13 again for the 3rd season. But let's now talk, and speaking of those records, let's talk about the playoff picture, because now that we're currently having a winning record, granted that once you hit 9 wins, it's officially a winning record, but right now we're still at the winning record. When we take a look at this playoff picture, Thomas, so currently, as it stands in the conference, in the playoff picture, you have the Indianapolis Colts as the number 1 seed at 6-1. You have the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos technically tied at 5-2, even though that the Patriots win the tiebreaker over Denver based off the strength of victory. And then you got Pittsburgh Steelers at 4-2 when it comes to the division leaders. When it comes to the wild cards, you got Buffalo Bill 4-2, 4-3, and then the Chargers at 4-3, and the Jacksonville Jaguars at 4-3. So, what are your current thoughts of the Patriots being the 2nd seed in the conference, and should we be focusing on that at this point?
Us fans focus on the playoff status for the Patriots? I don't think so, in my opinion, because right now I say the Patriots need to focus on themselves. They need to focus on their next games. They need to focus on what they're going to do in the next assignments, because playoffs is another story at this point. We won't worry about the playoffs until we get to the second half of the season. Our worries now is how can we build up this team here next few weeks, because we got some tough games coming up. We got the Browns coming up. We got the Falcons. We got the Bucks. We got some tough opponents we have in our schedule, even though we have like the 2nd, 3rd easiest schedule in this out of all the teams in the NFL. So but as a Patriots fan myself, I would not worry about the playoffs yet until we get to the second half of the season. So like if other Patriots fans oppose that to be here, then I'm sorry. Where's that? You get an F. Because I'm sorry, as much I want to see this team approve to make the playoffs, I'm sorry, I'm not even focused on seeing this team making the playoffs yet. We need to improve on wins first. Compare we have last season here. I'm happy we're with a 5, but I want to see more wins stack up for this team, which means we need to play better football instead better clean football at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And Eric said it himself, focus week to week like we've been doing. And especially that it's nice to get a win against the Titans because the Titans are bad, but it's nice to take advantage of teams that play bad football. And we've been doing a good job of that. Granted, the Saints game, it was a close game, which had me on my chair for a second, but it's nice to take advantage of getting wins like these. And especially when we're heading into Cleveland, where we're going up against the worst offense, but the best defense, you got to make sure that not only you're taking advantage of games when you're on the road, but also what the Patriots have been lacking for several years now, ever since Tom Brady retired. We haven't been taking advantage of games at home. So it's really important that we also take advantage of games at home, because the upcoming the next 2 games are going to be at home, which are the Cleveland Browns and the Atlanta Falcons. So it's really important to get wins off of at home.
Yes.
Otherwise, there's going to be questions about if the team is going to be on fraudulent watch or something like that, especially when we are trying to trend our way into making the playoffs, which is really, really important, especially when we focus on the playoffs. And I agree with you 100% that I wouldn't focus on the playoffs just yet. That's just Patriots players. After being number 1 in the division, which is kind of interesting, granted that they did lose to the Buffalo Bills. They did beat the Buffalo Bills, and the Buffalo Bills lose to the Atlanta Falcons after we got a win off of the Saints. So it's kind of interesting to see that, and the fact that we do have the tiebreaker. So it's kind of really interesting when you think about it. But let's now shift over to not the game yet, but let's talk about Mike Vrabel's return. And I want to ask you this, Andy. What were your thoughts heading into Week 7 that Mike Vrabel, knowing that he is going to return to the Tennessee Titans Nissan Stadium, I'll say, what were your feelings about Vrabel's return, in the sense that you have Patriots fans, but you also have Tennessee Titans who love Mike Vrabel?
Exactly. Yeah, lots of Titans fans love Vrabel, and I had obviously hoped he'd go down there and get the big win against his former team. After last year, Drake May makes that heroic throw on 4th down. As time expires, we don't go for the 2-point conversion. He gets picked off in overtime. And Vrabel, he never said he wanted revenge. He tried to make it all about the players because he is a culture builder. That was why I was so excited when we hired him. He is truly, we saw it after this game, after he gave Drake the game ball and Drake gave it right back to him. He is 100% a player's coach. And to go down there and see how, he handled this game, played coached like the bull that he normally does, but with, not acting like he has no love lost toward the Titans at all, no spite toward anyone, and, the Tennessee fans who didn't want him to leave were even, this will lead into our next little segment, shouting his name at the end of the game, along with, it looked like a third of the fan base. There were Pats fans too. So, it was a very, very rousing homecoming for Mike Vrabel. And like you said, going down there with, Harold Landry and a few other guys he coached before. I think Jack Gibbons played with the Titans as well under Vrabel. And he just, going down there and getting that win meant the world to him and these players. And it was an awesome thing to see.
Yeah, for sure. And when we talk about, just as you alluded to, we saw a lot of Titans fans cheering on for Mike Vrabel's name. But I want to ask you this, Austin. What were your thoughts on seeing Titans fans praising Mike Vrabel by chanting his name at the end of the game, even though they lost?
Yeah, to me, it was really kind of like storybook stuff. It's almost like you can't believe it's happening, because not often is it that a head coach of a previous franchise would be so welcomed back into that building. More often than not, the fans would be against you. So if anything, it just goes to show how much of an impact Vrabel made to the Tennessee Titans and how much they've clearly missed him. The Vrabel chants were literally echoing the whole stadium, and I know Vrabel downplayed it all week, but it clearly meant something to him, and it was just an awesome moment to see, new fans, old fans, whatever, cheer for him, especially like after everything went down in Tennessee and how everything was handled. I mean, the downfall was obviously trading away A.J. Brown, and then I don't know, the whole situation went to shit, and Vrabel has a winning record, and somehow it's his fault, and he gets fired, and we're the better for it. We're the beneficiaries, and I will personally send like Tennessee, I don't know, a gift card if we win the Super Bowl, saying thank you for giving us Vrabel, because I mean, the dude is just, he's building something special here that we just I'm not even sure we saw it with Belichick, because Belichick, yeah, he doesn't lead the same way as Vrabel. So I'm very interested to see where this goes, and it's only the beginning. It's only going to get better based off of everything happening so far.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how this team is trending, especially when Mike Vrabel has done a great job of not only building this team, but also changing the culture. Like, people might be complex, maybe thinking, why are we letting go of some of our good players? Now I can see why, when you bring his own coaches, bringing his own players, but bringing some of his players that he has never coached with, and also draft. And then when it comes to the draft process, I'm going to say this again. He allowed Elliott Wolf to do his draft process based off how his father taught him, because under Jerod Mayo, you had zero clue what his identity is. With Mike Vrabel, you do know his identity, and it's nice to see as throughout the offseason and as and after those first 7 games, you can see how it's already paying off. And I would not be surprised if Mike Vrabel becomes Coach of the Player of the Year once again after what he has done 1 year so far with the New England Patriots. And it's finally how we screwed the Jets, because the Jets wanted Mike Vrabel. But after we fired Jerod Mayo, you knew that Mike Vrabel wanted to be the head coach for the New England Patriots. And basically we screwed the Jets once again because they wanted Mike Vrabel. But let's get to I'm actually going to, before we get into like all the positions, I want to quickly talk about something. And it was breaking news that the New England Patriots have just claimed Caleb Murphy, off of waivers by the Chargers. If any of you can answer this, considering that we need pass rusher depth, what are your thoughts of having Caleb Murphy being on the team to basically like? I'll ask you this, Austin. Will Caleb Murphy, change like the room for like the edge rusher room, or basically be more like a depth piece at this point?
I'm kind of thinking it's going to be more of a rotational piece. Like, I'm sure they're kind of just bringing him in to kind of just rotate out. I mean, I'm looking at some of his stats. It's like nothing pops off. I mean, he has 5 solo tackles, 7 assisted tackles, and a half sack. So it definitely just tells me he's not an every down type of guy or a starter. But I'm sure they'll get him up to speed in their system, and he'll play some quality downs. I'm at the point where I'm pretty much blindly trusting Vrabel, because he hasn't proven us or driven us in the wrong direction to like not trusting him. The guy just looks like a solid player, 6'3", 254 pounds. I'm interested to see like how fast he is, because obviously we know Vrabel prefers a bit more speed at those linebacker positions, because that's one of the reasons we ended up cutting Juwan Bentley, who I think still isn't even on a team. So, yeah.
With that move, do you think that it will prompt the Patriots to trade away Anthony Jennings, because he's currently on he's one of those candidates to be traded away to another team?
Me personally, I hope not. I really like Anthony Jennings, and I think he does a lot of the dirty work that other people don't want to, and he doesn't care if he gets the credit. He cares that his teammates make plays. And it's hard to find selfless players like that sometimes. So personally, I don't really want to see Anthony Jennings go. But now that you kind of mentioned that, bringing in Caleb Murphy, again, I don't know exactly his skill set. But maybe that is the intention, to get rid of Anthony. And this is, a signing that you make or a claim off the wires that you make to make that move. I would be interested to know who exactly we'd be bringing in his stead, because I feel like we honestly need help at edge. So I think it's weird we'd be getting rid of an edge. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Especially that there's so much unknown, because I just looked up when I heard the news from Tom Pelissero that we claimed Caleb Murphy off of waivers. I had to do a bit of research on him, and granted that he is an undrafted rookie out of Grand Valley State, and I don't know that other school. It started with the letter F, and it's not Fresno State, but
it's Ferris State.
Okay, Ferry State. Thank you. And when I heard that, I knew that. My thought process is when Mike Vrabel signed him to be his player for the Tennessee Titans, I knew it had to be something with Mike Vrabel. But Andy did say that in the chat that he should elevate Braden Swinson. Can you explain why the Patriots should elevate Braden Swinson, even though we got Caleb Murphy? You're muted, man.
As Austin hinted at, we need more depth at edge rusher / defensive end. I mean, we got here. We got Landry and
Jason.
Gosh, I'm blanking. And Chason out there, but I think oh shoot. Don't mind me. This is entirely me being stupid. Why elevate a guy when you bring another in? It could be a chance to just, elevate Swinson off the practice squad and have him learn, because he's raw, kind of like Trevion Henderson, and have him learn from the bunch of veterans that you have on the roster already, rather than just keeping him on a burner and not having him do anything.
Interesting. I can see your point. But let's now transition into the individual positions. So let's start with Drake Maye, for example. And we talk about this, Thomas. Drake Maye had another impressive game, and I'm going to flip over to my stats and then get back to the question. So passing yards, he has completed 21 out of 23 completed passes out of attempts for 222 yards, 2 touchdowns, only 4 sacks, and he had a quarterback rating of 135.9. And also on the ground, he had 8 carries for 62 yards, the longest being 19 yards. So when we talk about this, Thomas, what were your thoughts on Drake Maye's performance?
Yeah, Drake Maye played I don't want to be the person here. I think Drake Maye is playing like an all-pro and MVP chasing status. But do I think he's going to win MVP? No. I would not call that crazy. But he's pulling up some MVP numbers. I think he played a fantastic game, even though he only had less yardage. But the completion percentage, like you said, beat out Tom Brady's 2009 record, which is 88.5%, which is in 2009 against the Jaguars. Now it's been beaten by Drake Maye, which apparently, now I can say this, he's going to be our franchise quarterback for many years to come. So I think he played a fantastic performance last week, and I think he's pulled out numbers where I think that you can say he's a top 10, top 5 quarterback in the league, possibly maybe squeak into the MVP conversation, but I just don't see him winning MVP at all. It's between 2 quarterbacks, in my opinion, right now, Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones.
Would you see Drake Maye being more of like an all-pro quarterback, or at least Pro Bowler caliber?
Oh, yeah, he's going to be more like a Pro Bowl quarterback, all-pro, yes. But MVP, no. Not in my eyes, yeah. At this point, there's 2 or 5 quarterbacks, 2 or 4 quarterbacks I can name that could beat out Drake Maye, and I named 2 of them at this point: Daniel Jones, Baker Mayfield, most likely Matt Stafford. So,
yeah, for sure. even though Drake May had success, Andy, there was a bit of concern when it came to in that game when Drake May when basically he got hit in the head and was briefly on concussion protocol. And when we talk about it, how is it scary to see him run and not like sliding and then get hit in the head and had to be in concussion protocol for a brief moment?
Yeah, Zolak and Bertrand were talking about this morning. It's unfortunate. It's a risk you carry with a mobile quarterback. I mean, they're not always going to throw. They're going to run when they can. And obviously Drake likes to run, but he's young and he needs to learn to just, I don't know how to, tuck his feet and slide and brace himself as he falls, rather, because I rewatched footage of that fall before he was taken into the tent, and he like banged his head on the turf and was stunned for like a solid 30 seconds, like didn't get up. And I was like, I just had the game on the radio yesterday. I was like, oh shit, this is bad with a capital B. But like I said, that it was about 30 seconds after that, he kind of got off and he kind of ambled with his head hung into the tent, and then trotted back. I don't want to say he trotted back out. We had to put in Josh Dobbs for a play or two. Luckily he kept that drive going, and he didn't even look 100% coming out of concussion protocol. Kind of a little wide-eyed. So yeah, I love his running ability, but either he has to learn to slide, or Vrabel has to wisen up and know. I hate to say this, know when not to play him, because we had that game in hand pretty much by the time that injury, by the time he hit his head a second time, we had that game in hand. He could have sat for the last quarter and a half easily. But yes, that is definitely of concern if he does not slide.
Is it something that we have to accept as part of his game, considering like how the Bills do with Josh Allen, Ravens do with Lamar Jackson, Eagles do with Jalen Hurts, and even with Commanders do with Jaden Daniels? Because this is like the second, I think this might be the third time where we got something like this, because the first time he got hit by Jamian Sherwood when he was against the Jets, and for some stupid reason, Jamian Sherwood didn't get flagged, but thankfully he did get fined. Against the Chargers, I don't know what the heck happened, but it was basically that was over. And then now this. So
sadly, it is a fact of life. Like I said, with a mobile quarterback, they're going to pass sometimes, they're going to run sometimes. We've seen Jalen Hurts get injured. We've seen Jaden Daniels get injured. Josh Allen, not so much, although I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, he was out for a number of games. And otherwise, May is, a sturdy guy. He's, what's he like, 6'4", 230, something like that.
I'll take a look.
Yeah, go ahead, Thomas, please do. But as for it being a fact of life, I have to say yes. Because you're just not going to get these non-pocket passers who never get injured.
So,
I mean, I know
yeah,
it
so
sounds...
Drake May is 6'4", 225.
Okay, all right. I was almost spot on. Thank you for double checking. But yeah, I mean, I know it sounds stupid and juvenile, but you're not going to have a quarterback who plays the style of Drake May, Josh Allen, even somebody might have been John mentioned earlier, Aaron Rodgers, who frequently, slides to the side to make a forward pass. You're just not going to have a quarterback who does that and doesn't get hurt. It's not going to happen. So yes, it is ultimately something the Patriots will have to live with.
Yeah. When we talk about this, Austin, even though Drake May was in concussion protocol for like a brief moment, we saw Dobbs. We're scared after that preseason performance from Dobbs, that after his, especially when Drake May sat out and then Dobbs had a visible performance when it comes to the preseason. What were your thoughts on that? passed. I think it was to Pop Douglas. I could be wrong. What were your thoughts on that play where it converted like third down, I would assume?
Yeah, I absolutely love that play. I was actually going to say that's probably play of the game because, obviously Drake May comes out with the concussion and, the quote-unquote concussion. I saw him bobble his head and then obviously the shake, and he tried to play it off like he was good to go. But unfortunately, the medical or New York or somebody called it in, and they're like, obviously go to the 10. I have a lot of confidence in Joshua Dobbs. He's proven, like when he had the sub in on the Cardinals and for the Vikings, that like he can play. More often than not, the teams he has subbed in for has a lot of talent around him. So in this case, there is some uncertainty where, we didn't necessarily know how well he's going to be able to perform. Granted, hopes are Drake May doesn't get hurt. So we're never really going to be in a situation to have to put Dobbs in. But obviously, I think it was like 3 plays he was in. It was like a run and then back-to-back passes or something like that. Yeah, that pass right there for the third and long, like completion to keep the drive going, and then Drake May coming back in on second down, like that's play of the game because that saves our momentum. That gives Drake May, a short field to keep continuing the drive, and I believe we end up scoring on that. So to me, like I get it wasn't, a huge play that we're used to, but this is why it's important that every single aspect of your football team is prepared and is ready to go because you never truly know on any given Sunday, anything can happen. And to me, that's just preparation coming through, and Dobbs showed all of us why he deserves to be the backup.
Yeah, for sure. Even though it's hard to debate because Andy say otherwise. And can you explain why we should put in Tommy DeVito over Josh Dobbs? Granted that he did have a great play. You're muted, man.
I saw Austin. I saw you there shaking your head. No. You're asking me. I just like, I don't. I know it sounds stupid, but like, it's funny because I don't like what I've seen out of Josh Dobbs, especially in the preseason. I mean, what was it? You said he had the good season with Arizona? I think it was
Minnesota.
Yeah, he had a season subbing in for like Minnesota, and then he had a season where Kyler Murray went down, and he ended up, or maybe it was like that same season where the Cardinals saw how well he played for the Vikings when their QB was hurt, so then they traded for Dobbs once Kirk Cousins came back, and then he went and balled out in Arizona for a couple weeks. Like, to me, he's a serviceable backup. That's exactly what you need. Like, the idea is like you're not building a football team to be like, oh, my backup's going to be just as good as my starter. Like, nobody in the entire league does that. All it is you're trying to find a backup that can play situational football. Hopefully isn't as bad as Brian Hoyer, where he comes in and you're just like, all right, we got no chance. Like, at least with Dobbs, I'm like, okay, he's agile. Like, he can still kind of scramble, which you saw. He broke the sack on that play and was able to deliver the pass. Like, that's why I say that was such a huge play. And I don't know, I've liked what I've seen out of him. Again, you're not expecting Drake May level of play, but if you can just get somebody that can manage the game and move the chains, God forbid something happens to him, like, I'm confident we could still get the 10 wins with him. I mean, our schedule is that bad. I know you're laughing, but
I shouldn't do that, man. I'm sorry, but yeah, no. Josh Dobbs. I mean, yeah, you definitely make the fair point that he's a serviceable backup, and the problem with DeVito is, I mean, he played so well in a handful of games for the Giants last year. You don't want him out there thinking he can eclipse Drake May like Joe Milton did. Yeah, you just don't want that Max Zappe situation again. I think
of Dobbs, Nelson had an interesting point back in that Minnesota game in the preseason. Dobbs threw too many hospital balls. Don't forget what he did in the preseason to Kyle Williams.
That point, case in point, exact. That was Josh Dobbs to Kyle Williams, the hospital ball in that Minnesota game. Yeah. But that was not an errant ball either. But yeah, I mean that's why he's the backup and not the starter. I mean, you just don't have May out there throwing hospital balls.
Yeah. When we talk about this, Andy, we'll allow us transition over to the run game since we already covered the passing game. But let's talk about the run game for a second. Do you think that the run game has improved for this Patriots offense, or you still want to see like more consistency, or there's still like more improvement for this run game?
I think the run game has improved. We saw fairly dramatic improvement from the New Orleans game. I've got the stats right here on Mondre. It was 18 carries for 88 yards, almost 5 yards per carry. I think he only averaged about 2 against the Saints. And he had a touchdown. And there were also 2 receptions on 2 targets, but they didn't go for very long. May also got involved in the running game. He had 8 carries for 62, averaging 7.8 yards per carry. He did not have a rushing touchdown, but we obviously just did the segment on his mobility, and I think the risk of injury is just something the Pats have to live with there. But I do think I didn't watch the full video from Brett Alper on Trevion Henderson, but I don't think it's time to panic yet. I mean, he is raw. He is an Ohio State kid. We have seen him get a few snaps in here and there. And I think Eric, I think, mentioned earlier, this is basically winding up being a redshirt season for him. And that's not stupid. I mean, we saw. I'm sorry?
You mean John?
Correct. Oh, it was John. Okay. Thank you so much for that correction. And we saw, I mean, there's so little emphasis on Henderson. We saw our other backup running back in there as a substitute once we were ahead.
Terrell Jennings.
Terrell Jennings. Thank you. I knew his last name was Jennings. And, he took over the spot essentially as the number 2 above Henderson, which really makes you think that Vrabel is thinking he's still maybe not ready to play a full game on an NFL field yet. And from what we've seen from Vrabel so far, I think it's really time to start trusting him. But I would like to see this improvement either stay as it was against the Titans or even gradually improve. Like I said, 88 and 62, that's, around 145 yards. I mean, it's better than the whatever we had last week. It was 68. It was something that was stupidly low, either last or second to last in the league. But the run game opens up the pass. So I absolutely want to see it really not stay, just gradually improve week to week.
When we talk about this, Austin, granted that the run game did improve, but how can leading up to like the upcoming weeks, like when we go up against Atlanta and Browns, how can the run game improve, especially when you're going up against better defenses as time goes forward? Because granted, Stevenson sucked when he played against good defenses.
Yeah, I really think it comes down to getting the other backs involved. I really think if you're going to try and shoulder the entirety of the run game on Ramondre Stevenson, yes, I do think he is a capable back, but I also don't think he is a quote-unquote bell cow. So as far back as I remember, the Patriots have been running back by committee, and that's kind of how Josh tends to run his offensive schemes. So we're really going to have to start getting Henderson going if we want to see an uptake in this run game. We also just need to see better run blocking out of the O-line. The pass blocking has been, second to none. I would say a 200% improvement over last year. The pass blocking has been that good, but the run block has left something to be desired. This past game against the Titans saw a lot of positivity. We were making a lot of big chunk runs on some of those plays, and it kind of seemed like we were getting our foot underneath it. But the biggest thing is consistency. Can we keep up with that? So I definitely just want to see our blockers, like the whole offensive line, getting off the snap, engaging with those blocks fast, opening up the holes. If the guard needs to pull, I want the guard pulling, going full speed, getting in that run lane to lead the way for that back. And again, we just need to see Henderson and even Terrell Jennings at this point, which I think all signs are kind of pointing towards him being permanently elevated to the 53. Because after they elevate him for this next game, I think they either have to release him or bring him back to the practice squad, or actually put him on the 53. He can't keep going up and down. But yeah, everybody's gonna have to get involved to succeed, and it starts with Henderson. I was really surprised that they didn't play Henderson more, especially during the garbage time with the Titans, to just kind of get him going, build his confidence up. But I don't know, maybe they just don't think he's ready. But again, I don't think we can shoulder everything on Ramondre and be successful. We have to play a well-rounded football game, and it's gonna take everyone. It's gonna take everyone.
And that leads to my next question, and I'll ask you this, Thomas. Knowing that he only had 2 carries that game, while Jennings had 5 carries in garbage time, do you think it's concerning that Henderson might be one of the worst picks, or do you think it's I think it's too early to tell. I think he will have a breakout game sooner than later. It's just the beginning of his red shirt. Yeah, I would say.
The fuck was that question, dude? I'm sorry. That is a dumb question, in my opinion. I'm sorry. No, absolutely not. We're not going to worry about freaking Henderson. We're not going to worry about Jennings. Jennings just got into the team. And second of all, Henderson has been used a lot. Yes, because Ramondre has been used a lot through time to time. I'm not worried about it because I still think Henderson's one of the best picks that we have. He's going to get a good game eventually if Ramondre have a bad game. If he fumbles a lot here, put him in the game. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. So far I say for Ramondre, no fumbles. He can still run the ball. He's the most dependable running back in our fucking team. When we need freaking Trevion Henderson, we could depend on him here. If it's garbage time, I'm not concerned. If it's on the third or fourth quarter, I'm not concerned. Any Patriots fans out there who is most likely concerned about not using Henderson a lot, guys, grow up. He's a rookie. Come on. I'm sorry. I'm not even that damn worried about Henderson's lack of use in the game of football in 2025. It's hard to try to develop a rookie running back. Just ask Ramondre in 2021.
That does make a lot of sense, especially when Damian Harris, granted that he did have a lot of injuries, but he was our leading back. Well, Stevenson was a running back too. And speaking of Stevenson, Andy, last question in the run game. Do you think he could still improve as a running back, granted that it was against the Titans?
Muted.
Thank you. It's the 3rd time I've forgotten. Oh boy. Anyway, but yeah, it was against the Titans, but I think even after, this is his 5th year in the NFL, yes, I think he does still have, does he still need to improve? I don't know if I'd go that far. He's definitely gotten the fumbles under wraps for the past 2 games now. Granted, neither of them was that stout. New Orleans doesn't have any pushover of a defense, but I kind of like how he's been not just cutting down on the fumbles, just not doing them at all. So I don't think in general that he needs to. What do you necessarily mean by improve? Improve how?
Like I mean, like, be more consistent, like when he goes up against these more difficult defenses, like when you talk about the Browns, like they have a better defensive when they have a better defensive line. Falcons have a better defensive line, and when you go up against the Buccaneers, there has to be a sense of consistency, because when Stevenson had a great game against the Dolphins, he looked like shit when against the Steelers.
I guess he just, it seems like he has been working on his consistency these past few games, which, was key, especially after the Steelers game and to an extent after the Bills game. And it seems like Vrabel really got ticked after that fumble against Buffalo and started, I don't want to say whipping it into him, but I think that seems like almost what's happened, because he has not been careless with that ball in these past two games at all, and that's I think been the real key thing that he needed to work on. So not much to improve on for me yet. If it starts again, then I've heard it said, the fumbling problem for him is chronic. Let's hope it doesn't happen this next series, these next three games.
Eric says to himself, and then we'll get to the receivers. He said, I've seen improvement by how he runs. He is running with two arms on the ball. I think he needed time to adjust carrying a different way, plus running with his head up. The O-line needs to work on run blocking. We'll get to the offensive line sooner than later, but I feel like Stevenson has been improving. I just think he needs to get his head out of his ass of not focusing on ball security 24/7, but at the same time, find these gaps from the defensive line and make opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. And even the radio hosts were saying last week that, why isn't the run game going? And a lot of it is, the running backs were just after he fumbled 3 times, he was just worried about ball security and was just overthinking everything. And that it seems like, he worked on that. And that is something he still needs to keep working on, is don't overthink it. Just grip that ball. Like I said, it's not a baby, it's a football. You can grab it and run hard and keep your head up while you do so.
Yeah, for sure. And before we get carried away, please make sure, if you haven't already, there's 6 of you in the chat and only 3 likes so far. So if you haven't already, please make sure that you please smash the like button, hit subscribe. It's completely free and helps us grow as a channel, and it helps us support in a massive way, and helps YouTube recommend us for future Patriots content, so you don't want to miss it out. And please turn on the bell notifications so we won't miss out on a future live stream. And by the way, we still have the 100 subscriber we'll talk about at the end, since I already mentioned it in the beginning of the show. But let's now switch over to the wide receivers, and I want to ask you this, Austin. Granted, how well our receivers were a lot reliable, but do you think that Elliott Wolf or Mike Vrabel may want to get a wide receiver one this offseason, or maybe by the trade deadline? Or do you think all these receivers are improving in a sense?
Yeah, it's so funny talking about the receiving room, because not even 5 months ago, really, a little after Vrabel got hired, we're kind of sitting here being like, our receiver room is full of wide receiver 2s and 3s. We need to get a number 1, blah, 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 blah. Then Josh McDaniels gets hired. We start seeing how he's putting together the scheme, and then you kind of remember, oh, yeah, Brady didn't always have a quote-unquote number 1. He just had a lot of guys that did stuff well enough, and Josh was able to scheme them open, and I think that's another case of what's happening here. And as great as it would be to get a wide receiver 1, I personally don't think it's top of the priority right now. I think we really should be pursuing an edge at the deadline, or potentially something in the secondary, rather than a receiver, because a lot of the scenarios I see with a receiver, it's who are you going to have to give up in return? It's like the AJ Brown like trade is essentially Booty and like a second for him. It's like, I don't know. I don't really want to give up Booty. I thought he's way outperformed his draft position. And I've been high on Booty ever since, as you guys know. Pop Douglas, we thought he was dead in the water the first couple weeks, and even he's popped off. The only person really not doing much is Kyle Williams, but again, he's a rookie. I think they're really just easing him in and getting him to learn that. Same with Chisholm. Chisholm's obviously seen more work on special teams. Matt Collins has been a pleasant surprise. He's someone that, we thought, just red zone opportunities, maybe the run game. He's actually made some of the biggest catches in these games that we've played. And Diggs has, not necessarily lived up to the wide receiver one level, but he's definitely had his games, had his moments. I don't know if he'll reach over 1,000 yards. I think he's technically on pace for it. So that'd be really cool, but hopefully we can get Diggs a touchdown. But as it stands right now, like, could a wide receiver help? Sure. But I really don't think it's top of our priority, especially with the chemistry these young guys have been building with May.
Speaking of Diggs, and I realized that was the final question for that list, but what has Stephon Diggs shown? Granted that he didn't get any touchdowns. How has he been doing so far? Granted that he's coming back from an ACL, he has been a reliable weapon for Drake May. Granted that he had 0 touchdowns.
I think Diggs is honestly probably the biggest surprise of the offseason, where everybody's saying he's a diva, that he's, a cancer to locker rooms that he's in and whatnot. He comes in here, and I mean, his attitude, he's totally bought into Vrabel's plan, the system, his pregame, thing where he's like, we all we got, we all we need. Like, that shit gave me chills the first time I heard that. And it's just like his level of intensity that he brings to the team and hyping up these players, like getting them ready to go for the game, like keeping them, not letting his teammates get complacent. Like, Diggs, if only he was hired for personality, I'd say it's been an A right now. I really value what he's brought to the team in that point of view. His leadership is just off the charts.
Yeah, and Gerard says it correctly. I think the biggest problem throughout the offseason, and it has to do with the media. Now that the media has been acting all weird, asking him all these stupid questions about like his whole incident with Cardi B and like the whole boat incident. But granted, you saw videos of him working out, recovering from that ACL. Hell, he went to Drake May's North Carolina workout back in July before the training camp. So I have no idea what they were gawking about. Diggs was having a fun time with family and friends, I would say, on that boat. And then when he comes into the season ready, he will be at his 100%. And then I agree. Let's not get carried away with Stephon Diggs, but let's get to another player that we need to talk about, and Kayshon Boutte. And I'll ask you this, Thomas. He had another impressive touchdown. He had like 2 out of 2 receptions out of targets for 55 yards and 1 touchdown. Basically, both of them were deep shots. And what are your thoughts on Boutte's growth as a player? Granted, this is his 3rd year in the league.
Yeah, I feel like Kayshon Boutte has played what he's supposed to live up to the hype here of picking in 2023's draft class. Was not even close to be a fan of him when we picked him up from LSU in the 6th round. I still can't believe we picked him in the 6th round of the draft on day 3. Like, does he have issues on the field? Like, 2023, he has issues which is a gambling issue here, but as years progressed, Boutte hasn't been used in 2023, 24, and 25 this year. He's been Drake's number 1 receiver option but this year he's been lights out. I don't know what to say here. Like, I know, most people say that there's a go for it receiver this offseason. I don't think a receiver is just. I don't think receiver in this type of environment in the offseason is a workable use, because I'm happy with the receiver we have here because we still got a reliable quarterback, a franchise quarterback out of Drake May, who can literally pass the football like pass it like flying colors. But back to the point with Booty. Booty has been playing so much great football the first 2 seasons. I mean, the last 2 seasons here with the Patriots. I just think his growth here is getting way up the charts, and I just hope that he can keep this going here, and possibly he's not up to the Julian Edelman level yet, but I think he's might be on his own level here.
Yeah, for sure. I think that he's going to be one of those hidden gems, and if he continues to progress well, and I'm going to say it quickly before we get into like the next part of the question. Yeah, he's been doing well, and he needs to continue to progress, and that's all he needs to do, and he could be worthy of his next contract extension. But I want to talk about these 2 particular catches. And Andy, I know you want to talk about these 2 catches. One of them being Pop's weird catch after Drake May had a horrible throw, and then Austin Hooper's Moss to get a touchdown. Mind giving your thoughts on those 2 particular plays? And you're muted.
Muted again. Come on, man.
I'm sorry, guys. This will not happen next stream. So yes, those 2 catches that was on 4th down. Like you said, May made a horrible sidearmed throw, and the ball was not straight at all. Somehow was 4th down, and Douglas was on the Tennessee 4, and he grabs it with his right hand and then pulls it in with his left. I mean, that was one of, that was like I don't want to say Julio Jones-esque catch, but it was more like, a Tyreek Hill or a Jalen Waddle catch. Those one-handed catches you just don't hear about or see often from Patriots wide receivers. And it obviously gave us a 1st down at the 4 of the Titans. And Austin Hooper, his first touchdown catch of the season in Game 7, completely, as Austin and Dow said, mossing L'Jarius Sneed at the upper left-hand corner of the end zone for that catch, and still getting both feet down in bounds, reaches his arms over his head and grabs that ball and just steps down and then falls back out of bounds. And at first it was like, holy crap, it was on either 3rd or 4th down, I think. And I was like, holy crap, that's a catch. And then they replay it. It's like, yep, he caught it. And that was the one that put us up. What was it? 20. It was before the pick 6. It was before the fumble 6. So, so it would have been 20.
I think the Hooper catch, I think that was the very first touchdown.
It was the very first touchdown of the game.
I think before that defensive touchdown, that was Ramondre Stevenson getting his rushing touchdown.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. So it was you're right. I think it was the first one. And yeah, I watched it. Like, he caught that. Oh, holy crap. And like I said, that was Hooper's first catch of the season. So yeah, that's the kind of plays we need from our pass catchers. And as we've alluded to already, May spread the ball around all game. He found, I think, six different guys yesterday for scores. And that was really not. It was really fun and, awesome seeing that from those 2 guys. That's, it hasn't been this fun to be a Patriots fan in years. And here we are again.
Yeah, like when you said 6, I'm going to quickly lift them off. He threw it off to Diggs for 69 yards, Booty for 55 yards and a touchdown, Hollins to 49 yards, Henry to 33 yards, Pop to 17 yards, and Hooper to 11 yards and a touchdown. That's the list.
And 69. Nice.
But going back to that comment where he's saying that the run game needs to be improved, let's talk about the offensive line. And I want to ask you this, Austin. Jared Wilson, unfortunately, he allowed those 3 sacks, and I think that he needs to improve a lot. What has been going on as of late for Jared Wilson? Is it because of that injury, or is it because of something else?
I'm probably going to attribute part of it to the injury, but I would just like to see him maybe put on some size. He is a little smaller, and I would like to see Doug Marrone maybe coaching him up some more, because I think he has the potential to be one of the premier guards in this league. But last game he had some boneheaded plays, just letting up the blocks basically, to the point where I guess there's a lot of reports saying like Ben Brown could get the start this week against the Browns. So again, he's a rookie and fourth round rookie or third round, right?
Third.
So it's third. It's just one of those things where it's a developmental type of piece. It's not like anybody was truly expecting him to start right away. Granted, he was the top rated center in the draft, but he's not playing center. He's playing guard. So I'm definitely more interested to see like what he's going to do next year, but I think he's done fine this year. And I mean, I think they should just keep him in, because it just feels like every week we're kind of nitpicking someone different on the offensive line, just looking for problems. But I think they just need to be better at picking up blocking schemes together, and it'll find a way to work itself out.
In a sense that the offensive line can improve in a certain way or can remain consistent, how can the offensive line, I'll ask you this, Andy, how can the offensive line improve every week, especially going up against different defensive lines, like whether it's both pass blocking and run blocking?
Yeah, we've had a top 8 to 10 pass blocking O-line for the entire season. That's largely thanks to Will Campbell. I mean, he's definitely surpassed my expectations. You know, I, as you know, didn't want him. I wanted Ted McMillan. And now, as I've told Tyler multiple times, it's like, oh, well, I'm eating my words. That son of a gun ain't no guard. He's a tackle. And he and Bradbury have been our best offensive linemen, pretty much the only guys we haven't critiqued on the O-line all year. But run blocking, you know, that's something we gotta, you know, we said this after the New Orleans game. I mean, run blocking is something this offensive line really has to work on. I remember you, Austin, specifically mentioning Mike Onwenu. You know, he took a penalty or two against the Saints that just was a complete drive killer. It didn't, you know, it was a false start. And of course, obviously that didn't have to happen. Onwenu and Wilson, they need to work on, you know, not so many false starts, you know, encroachment, things like that. And, you know, Onwenu, you know, I get it because Wilson is a kid, but Onwenu is a veteran. And I'd like to see Marrone, you know, work on, you know, cutting down on the penalties and on his run blocking, because sometimes a defender will rush right by him and he'll be looking the other way. And that just, you know, that can't happen when you want to get your run game going. So yeah, the pass block has been okay to very good, but the run blocking game, it was better yesterday, but still needs work going forward.
Granted, this offensive line has looked a lot better, and I gotta say that it has been a lot better than last year, to be honest, because last year it was a shit show, to be honest. But granted that we had zero clue of what we were doing, and we had Drake May running for his lives. And yes, the run blocking needs to improve, especially when you're going up against Myles Garrett and Mason Graham next week. It's going to be a huge task, a tall task. And you obviously want to block for these two guys. And I'm going to quickly look at all these questions, see how much time we have left, because I want to make sure that we want to get to the defense. But let's quickly head over to the defense, if we don't mind. And My first question is, I'll ask you this, Thomas, and it has to do with Caleb Von Chason. Do you think that he has reverted back to his first round form where he did really well for LSU? And is he worthy of getting a contract extension after, is he worthy of getting a contract extension after that performance, or do you think he can still continue his progression and possibly, or not yet?
I think potentially he'll get an extension on that performance, but he could still have time to improve. But Chason is worthy of a first-round pick. Like, I mean, that talent from LSU, which ESPN has been talking about Chason. Marcus Spears, as a matter of fact, has been a big fan of Chason because he's an LSU product, because he used to go to LSU, quote unquote. But anyway, I think he's worth of an extension on 1 or 2 more years or so. He's an aspect of the defense. He's a rotational piece, but I think he's worthy of a starter. He played great football this season, even though he had minimal mistakes. But I think he played sensation football this season for this Patriots defense. Much needed after what our defense has been garbage last season under a defensive coordinator named DeMarcus Covington, who is literally the most garbage defensive coordinators we ever had in this team. So technically, but yeah.
And if you think he's going to get a contract, how long and how much per year?
Not good at contract talk. I would say 1 or 2 years, about 9-10 million.
Okay, so like 2-year, $20 million. We'll get to that as when the offseason comes, but I think it's too early to tell. I'm going to ask the same question for the other player, and I'm going to ask Austin this. Has Marcus Jones continued to play more of like a Pro Bowl caliber leader and also slot cornerback as time progresses?
Yeah, this might be a hot take, but I think Marcus Jones could make the Pro Bowl just for being a corner. That's how well he's been playing this year for us. Obviously had the closing interception against Tennessee, and then had a couple really good punts against the Panthers, like punt returns. He's just been all around the field, and every time there's a play to be made, it seems like he's the one coming up with the play. And I've just been very happy with him, and I definitely think, he's worthy of an extension, no doubt. We came into the season, the news was kind of like, Vrabel's not really high on him. Vrabel prefers a bigger, corner in the nickel versus, somebody of Marcus Jones' size. But granted, I think what Marcus Jones lacks in size, he makes up for in his speed and agility. And, it's proven time and time again out on the field there, like against the Bills. He had the interception against Josh Allen as they're, pushing in the red zone. He's continued to make these plays, and it's easy for us to then keep looking at Carlton Davis and be like, come on, do something, because we have somebody who's already been here making these plays that we wanted Carlton Davis to make. So I'm hoping once Carlton Davis is, healthy, he'll be making the same amount of plays. But I have been incredibly happy with how Marcus Jones has been playing, and I think he's definitely worthy of an extension of some sorts.
Since he has lived up to his expectations, do you think, since this is his final year of his rookie deal, do you think we should re-sign him? And if so, how much and how long?
Let's see. He's like 26. Ideally,
about
maybe you do like a 2-year, $10 million. Because obviously he's not like your premier corner, but he's definitely playing like a cornerstone of the defense. So I think it entirely depends on, how he finishes the season. But in terms of starting the season, like, he's definitely earned a good contract, and, he can only continue to prove he's worth it, or he can, start having his stock fall.
Yeah. There's a question from Paul. We can answer. we can discuss this, and it has to do with Carlton Davis. It has to do with Carlton Davis. Do you hear that? Carlton Davis is what? Oh, wait, what?
What?
If it's from Mike Reese, forget it. Well, let's talk about Carlton Davis for a second, and I'll ask Thomas this: has Carlton Davis become a liability at this point, or basically he's still having health issues, still recovering from that?
He's no liability. I'm sorry. There's the hot take for me. He's no liability. He literally have his injury issues at this point. Honestly, he's still in my opinion, one of the best corners in football when we pick him up. But at this rate, he needs to recover from his injuries here. Like, the reason he hasn't played not this good, injuries. The injuries may be the cornerstone of why he has not been played this well here. So I still give Carlton Davis a chance at this point when it comes to this position. But if he continues to play like a limping dog or a whipping cat or whatever the hell I'm gonna say here, I'm sorry, we need to move on from Davis. Like, I know for a fact he made stupid penalties, he made stupid plays here, but dude, he literally have an injury. Am I concerned about his injury? Yes. Am I concerned about am I concerned that he's a liability to this defense? No, of course not. It's a stupid topic to talk about, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's stupid. But do you think that he should eliminate some of those penalties? Because penalties have been an issue for Davis.
He should eliminate those penalties. Like, none of it is fault. He literally he's trying to cover somebody here. But honestly, he needs to limit those penalties. Like, honestly, it's not all his fault at this point. There's majority of the players on the defense got way more penalties than Davis.
That is true. But let's get back to, speaking of defensive woes, I want to ask you this, Andy. For some reason, the Patriots continue to have these defensive woes in the first quarter of games that usually start very slow. And it usually has to do with lack of pressure and lack of pass coverage. What has been going on? Why have there been defensive woes in the first quarter, and why the offense can't process?
Yeah, I've had this question for a few games. I mean, like I said, we did it again. We've done it in 5 out of 7 games this year. Let up a score on the opening drive for the opponent. With seemingly zero defense. We saw both Bryce Young and Cam Ward just slice us and dice us on those opening drives. And I know some of you guys have been in the main chat, and a lot of us are saying, oh man, it's like, how can we look this bad with, this defensive genius? His name's Mike Vrabel. And then, we buckle down pretty much in the second quarter. I mean, I don't have an explanation for why we're playing that way. It's almost as if Vrabel wants the opponent to get ahead and then wants to be the come from behind guy. It's like he's almost I don't even have any evidence for this. It's almost like he'd rather not play with a lead. I don't know. I'm not quite sure why that would be, but it does, almost seem to be that way. Because we'll let the opponent gash us for 100 or so yards, and then our defense just is like Fort Knox. Nobody can get through it. So I think that the rationale might be, like I said, he wants to come from behind 7 or 10 points. I don't know why, but that could be a possible reason.
And I think NJ comes up with an interesting statement for why they have these defensive woes, and I don't know. It's not like every game they're going to start off really good, but NJ comes up with something. He's like, because they cook mid-game, early game, they're understanding and adjusting to the scheme. At the end of the day, as long as they adapt and finish the game with the dub. And that's really important. As long as you have a general idea of what their scheme is, like you're going up against the Browns, you're going up against the worst offense next week, led by a rookie who played for the Oregon Ducks. And basically, their only good receiver is Jerry Jeudy at this point. But
yeah, and one running back I'm fearing the most, Quinshon Judkins.
And I want to ask you this, Austin, how can they make these adjustments in the first quarter so they don't start slow again, or that's just how life works?
I think it was really prevalent in this game with the Titans just because we were so unsure of what sort of scheme they were really going to roll out with the interim head coach. So I think they're definitely going to be more prepared. It's really hard to go into a week and not have like solid game tape to go off of to kind of build your game plan. So that's why I feel like the Titans game kind of started off slow. We started finding our way midway through the game, and then by the start of the second half, we were just running away with the game. I'm hoping it definitely improves, and I think it's just going to be because we do have more film, more tape, and we have a better idea of, who we're going against. Vrabel was in the building last year, so I'm sure he has an understanding of a lot of the players on that roster and their strengths and weaknesses, and I'm hoping he'll be able to help the Patriots exploit that. I think we're really going to have to rely on that defensive front. We still have yet to give up more than 50 rushing yards to running backs, so top run defense in the game basically right now. So it is going to be a test because Quinshon Judkins has been unbelievable. I think he had over 100 yards last game with 3 touchdowns. Like, insane for a rookie. He's playing better than, Ashton Genty, who everyone thought he was going to potentially win Offensive Rookie of the Year. And, I mean, he's kind of fizzled into nothingness. And, I mean, I kind of blame the situation with the Raiders right now. But, yeah, Milton Williams, Christian Barmore, they're going to have to step up and plug that hole. I think we're going to see a lot of Kyrus Tonga, too, and just have some big fronts and dare Dylan Gabriel to have to beat us with his arm.
Yeah, we're going to have to, because speaking of run defense, granted that Quinshon Judkins is going to be a huge issue, and we all know that we have been preventing running backs from getting at least like 50 yards, but what is your thoughts process so far through the first 7 weeks with this run defense in general? And I'll ask Andy this question. What are your thoughts on that run defense from the Patriots? Granted that they did start off slow, but how are they overall?
Yeah, we've been starting off slow, but I mean, we've held, look at the guys we've held in check. You're talking James Cook, the guy with the pant. What?
Kamara.
Cook,
Hubbard.
Cook, Kamara, Hubbard, Genty.
A-Chain,
thank you. Those are some of the best running backs in the league. And I mean, like Austin just said, I have Judkins in one of my fantasy leagues. He is gashing run defenses in every single game he's played, pretty much. But we have a top 5, if not top 3 run defense. So, I mean, if anybody stands a chance, it's stopping Quinshon Judkins, it's Christian Barmore, it's Kyrus Tonga, it's Milton Williams. Those 3 guys have been unbelievable on our front 7 on the defensive line.
And Tony Pollard.
And like Austin, like you said, I mean, dare Dylan Gabriel to beat us with his arm, because I don't think he can. I mean, the Cleveland's offense is their run game even more so than it is for New Orleans. I mean, they have Alvin Kamara, but they also have Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. Jerry Jeudy's pretty washed for them. So if you don't get their one engine going on offense, I mean, they're going to have to rely on their defense rather. And as we know from the latter Belichick years, doesn't always work.
Yeah. NJ comes up with something interesting, and I know that we're getting a little distracted, but speaking of this run defense, we got 2 specific running backs within the next 2 games we have to keep an eye on. Judkins is one of them. Bijan is another to take care of, and
yes,
he said himself, the next 2 games has to be a must win no matter what. Because I'll be okay if we lose against the Bucs. At the same time, it would be big time if we beat them. So not only we have Bijan and Judkins, we also got Bucky. So it'd be nice if the run defense continues to be consistent at preventing these running backs from getting at least 50 yards. It would be a huge progression because after those 2, you got Bucky Irvin, you got Breece Hall. I have no idea who the running back is for the Cincinnati Bengals, but I know Scatterbo is the last one before their bye. So that's going to be
Chase Brown for the Bengals.
Chase Brown? Okay. And yeah, we have to rely on this defense to win because this is the worst defense you're going up against. And it would be nice to see if we progress going up against the worst offense, excuse me. It would be nice if we go up against this worst offense. But I want to quickly ask you about the Tennessee Titans. And granted, huge shout out to Tyler for providing me all these questions. I'm trying to get to all these questions within a time span, but I want to quickly ask you this on the Titans. Even though we beat them and we're trying not to be too harsh on it, how has Cam Ward been doing under Mike McCoy? Any of you can answer this.
I think he's done well. I mean, it's the same situation with Drake May. I'm not gonna say like, oh my God, Cam Ward's the same as Drake May, because I've seen that argument floated around on Twitter where they're trying to justify, oh well, Drake May had 16 touchdowns and 12 interceptions last year. It's like, okay, Drake May was also making insane plays. Like Cam Ward only knows how to throw the ball one type of way, it feels, and that's fastballs basically. But I mean, from just what they opened with, there's definitely a lot of promise for Cam Ward. It's just, I'm interested to see how they're going to develop him because I thought Will Levis could have been something. And obviously they kind of gave up on him and, they moved on to Cam Ward. And I never really thought Cam Ward was, number 1 overall caliber. I mean, you look at the draft the year prior, you have all those quarterbacks go in the first round. It's just night and day. Like I'm pretty positive like every single one of those quarterbacks would still go above Cam Ward, barring maybe JJ and Penix, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I just want to see him improve. That's all it is. I mean, Cam Ward's a rookie, and teams need to stop expecting so much of their rookies and then being disappointed when they lose.
Do you think that they're going to go on? I think can they build around Cam Ward when they get a new coach, or I don't know, because I'm looking at all these candidates. None of them like impressed me, like Brian Flores or Joe Brady or Van Joseph or the defensive coordinator for the Chargers. I don't know. Because I don't know about this, Austin. Like Cam Ward, he's going to be a promising quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, but show from there.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to completely depend on what they do to end the year, followed by how they're going to move forward, because obviously by firing Brian Callahan, it's just you have so much uncertainty. Are you going to keep the interim head coach? Are you going to do a head coach search? Okay, who's that head coach going to bring in if they don't? If they keep the interim, is he going to fire people and bring those guys in? Like, what sort of talent are they going to keep around Cam Ward? Are they going to, build up the defense so that way they can win through those? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Once again, Andy, I'm sorry. There's so many questions I'm trying to answer, but let's just cut to the chase, and we'll just pass on these 3 other questions that I have. But let's get to the winners and losers portion before we call it a day, because I think that it's already a bit too long. But
yes,
from there, but as always, when it comes to like the winners and losers portion, we have at least one winner from the offense and defense and one loser from both offense and defense. Special teams, it's whatever, because we already know who's good and who's bad. But I want to start with you, Andy. Like, who are your winners and losers, both offense and defense?
So on offense, I am going to start out with Drake May. I'm going to go with the obvious guy this week. He had his sixth straight game with a triple-digit quarterback rating. I can't remember when the last time a Patriots quarterback did that was. As we've all said, he broke Tom Brady's 16-year-old completion percentage record. Eclipsed 200 yards again, threw for 2 touchdowns. I mean, the guy is something special. In Pat's Nation, if you're not seeing it now, I don't know when you will. Well, there are people saying May is pretty much, he's only just getting started. And NFL, watch out, because the Patriots have their next quarterback in Drake Lee May out of North Carolina. It will be interesting to see, how he looks going against that stout Cleveland D this coming Sunday. But like I said, if we can stop Dylan Gabriel, we put the game in the hands of their defense. And something tells me, Vrabel has worked on the interception thing with Drake, and fingers crossed it won't start again next week. So Drake May is my winner on offense. And on defense, I'm going to have to go, I'm going to have to, I think, go with Milton Williams here. I mean, no team can get their run game going, no matter how good it is. The guy is just, he's a force on the football field. Milton Williams is. I mean, and we signed him to a record contract for a Patriot, and here he is, playing really well, playing well under Vrabel, playing well for Vrabel, and I just like what I'm seeing for him every week. So that's my one winner and one loser from yesterday's game.
For both offense and defense?
Correct.
Okay. How about you, Austin?
My winner is Ramondre. I just really liked his improvement over the previous weeks, and he's shown that he can hold on to the ball. And when there's open lanes, he can obviously get through, break some tackles, and get up to the second level. And, he had an 88-yard game. He didn't score a touchdown, unfortunately, but he did score a touchdown. But
He did.
Yeah, he did. But I just like this play overall, and I just want to see him build on that confidence. My loser is – I don't really have like a single loser because I thought we played really well, but I would probably just say the pass protection this game. I think we let up 4 sacks. So
5.
Okay. I just want to see better efficiency. That's all.
I'm sorry, I forgot to give my losers on both sides of the ball. I guess I don't. I mean, I could say my loser on offense, is I could call my loser on offense Jared Wilson. I don't want to say he was a turnstile, and as Austin said, he has been injured, but something has just gone wrong with his play over the past couple of weeks. And I didn't read about the Ben Brown thing. I think he did step in the Saints game for Wilson at some point. So it's not surprising. On defense, I just have to, my as ever loser is poor Carlton Davis. I just, I don't want to doubt that the guy is still good, but he hasn't shown me anything in any game that leads me to believe he still has it. I'm sorry, but a cornerback looks like it might be a need going forward. I mean, it is still a fairly young season. There's 10 games left, but it is what it is.
Going back to your losers, Austin.
Yeah, that's kind of all I was going off of. I really don't have any more losers. Like I thought I guess, yeah, all my losers were kind of on offense. I said like I just wanted to see better. Oh well, I guess the defense here, early deep shot integrity. I felt like we let up a lot of stuff on defense early in the first half against the Titans. Like I think all of us were kind of scared. Like, oh shit, are the Titans actually better than they are, and they're gonna come out here and give us a hard time? But obviously that was short lived. But it was basically just in my notes that I want to see us start up quicker and be better on defense early in games.
Yeah. How about your winners and losers, Thomas?
Okay, my offensive winner, I'm thinking Drake May, but nope. This may shock people. My offensive winner is actually Josh Dobbs. Because without his big pass to his receiver, we would have not kept that drive alive. Remember that. That is what a serviceable backup quarterback does. And that is definitely not what freaking Tom DeVito do. I'm sorry. I'm still not a fan of DeVito yet at this point. So, Josh Dobbs, I'm giving you flowers. Thank you very much for your service. My loser is the pass offense. Honestly, a lot of those sacks. Honestly, it's ridiculous. The offensive line in general. My defensive winner is K'Lavon Chaisson because of the plays he has done, and most likely that fumble 6. And my loser is not Carlton Davis. Instead, I'm sorry, I'm giving it to Robert Spillane. He hasn't done much in this game.
I could see your point. I could see your points, but here goes my winners and losers. My winners, Deschamps, I would say between Pop and Booty. Booty because of those making these catches in those deep throws, and then obviously I want to include Pop too because converting that 4th down, that's one. That other with that Dobbs, as you alluded to, Pop made those catches. Like when Pop catch that horrible throw from Drake May. And then you got one from Dobbs. That's like, I think that he's going to be those two are potentially my winners for that. My loser, I'm not going to give Henderson the hate because I think he's still going to progress. I think he's going to progress. It has to be Jared Wilson. Like, I think he needs to like rest for a bit before I think give Ben Brown some reps at left guard because he's shown there are times where he could be a serviceable left guard.
Yes.
And I think that at some point, if he continues to play bad as a left guard, I think you're going to have to sit him out and put Ben Brown as left guard because we're supposed to draft Jared Wilson as a center. And so, yeah, there you go. Those are my winners and losers on offense. On defense whatsoever, my winner on defense has to be Marcus Jones again. I want to give K'Lavon Chaisson his flowers, but what about Jared Wilson? Marcus Jones, excuse me, when he got that interception to close out the game. He has the 2nd interception this season. He's the only Patriot so far to have more than 1 interception. And that is great coming from a cornerback who has a lot of high expectations. When he was named a captain, when he was on his final year of his deal at the age of 26, I think Marcus Jones proved time and time he's going to be a solid quarterback. Granted, he's also a great special teams player. So give me my winner as for Marcus Jones. My loser, I don't know why, but I'm going to say Keon White. And I'm sorry, but his progression I think he's going to be one of those candidates to be traded. I don't know why, but he has shown me nothing so far for these past 3 games. So give me Keon White as my loser because he has shown me nothing, unfortunately. But that's going to be it for today's live stream. Please make sure that if you haven't already, please make sure that you smash the like button, hit subscribe, It's completely free and helps us grow significantly here on this channel, and we appreciate the support. Be there for 8 p.m. tomorrow because we have a huge 100 subscriber celebration with the 4 of us. We will have call-ins, we will have Q&As, and we will have giveaways. So don't worry. We'll get to all these details tomorrow when we talk about what the format is for tomorrow's stream. And obviously, the biggest rule, be respectful to one another. No trolling, no nothing, no fart jokes, no poop jokes, and don't piss off the panelists. That's all. And as always, go Pats.
Go Pats.